really helpful for me with some of the chaos I've got going on in my house. You're
Hi,
here.
ladies. How are you?
Hi, Missy.
Hi.
Hi, Missy. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you ladies today?
We're welcome to the
Great.
chaos.
I love it. I'm so excited.
We're doing our best. That's what we're doing. I love that reel. I'm doing my best.
You're doing your
Yeah.
best. Yes.
Right here. A little bit of lack of sleep. I feel it right here.
Yes.
Yeah, that end of the day as it starts to like come down on you too, especially if you've had a busy day and you're a little exhausted, it doesn't make life easier. That's
No,
for
it
Right.
sure.
doesn't. I was already
I've
chatting
got
you up
some
a little
tea.
bit. Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
thanks.
Yeah. So we were chatting you up, and I have some tea. Miss Joz has her
My Florida in a
drink.
cup. I call it my
Yeah,
smoothie.
You're
I love it.
I call it my Florida smoothie. It's Tito's.
Where are you guys both located at? You're in Florida and where
I'm
are
in
you?
Michigan, muddy
Michigan.
Michigan.
Fun. I'm up in Canada, so all sorts of different places. Cool.
Beautiful.
And that's the beauty of Zoom and everything that we've been going through in the last couple of years. We get to connect with all different kinds of people, different places, doing
Absolutely.
different things, which I find amazing. And that's why we started this podcast in like the first place. But I have to tell you, when I came across your bio and like what you do, and like we'll talk about that, I was like, oh my God, sign me up quick, because and where were you like 16 years ago? We both have 16-year-olds as our oldest. Well, your
Got
oldest is almost 17, correct, Care?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like back in the day, my first did not sleep. Like we're talking like literally, unless he was on my body, like right
Same.
here, he would not sleep. And I ended up like
Super light sleeper.
super late sleeper. I accidentally co-slept, right? Which is like a big no-no.
But it happens. I
It
did it too.
happens,
I did it
right?
too. Yeah. No, that
Yeah.
was how I got into this in the first place. Was I had my now almost 6-year-old was when she was up until 9 months because she was colic. I had to deal with that and all that. And but same thing. She would only sleep on me. We co-slept. I didn't know. Like I had no idea how to help her to sleep better. And that's how this journey began for me. Is I hired a sleep consultant that was local. Someone suggested, and I was like, "What is a sleep consultant?" I had no idea what that was, and then after I worked with her, and she like literally, I say she changed our life. It sounds cliche, but it is so accurate. And I said to my husband, I said, I need to find out how she became this. Like, how did this happen for her? And then after I had my son, I used a lot of those techniques, but I still wanted to like learn more. And that's when I finally said, you know what, this is the direction I'm going to go. I'm going to learn how to do this and see how to become a sleep consultant. And it's just been amazing. But I hear that a lot where people say, where were you,
Right.
16 years ago? And because sleep consultants didn't really exist until probably, I'd say within the last 20 years, they've existed, but now there's a whole lot more of us, but it's definitely, I mean, the amazing like ways that we can change families, like from exhausted to being able to be rested and be better parents. It's really amazing. And that's why I started this, was because I was doing the same thing as you guys. I was holding the baby. I had to take a nap with it all the time. We had a hair dryer in the bed to try to get it to go to bed. It was,
I know.
anything you could do to survive, right?
Oh my God. I remember laying on the bed and he would be napping on me, and I'd have to like, be reading a book, and I'd have to go to the bathroom so bad. And been hour, like, I'm like, oh, he just fell asleep. And you like slide the baby off,
Yes.
and then you like sneak and go to the bathroom, and they're like, and they wake
they
up and
wake
you're
up.
like, shoot,
Yeah.
So we didn't even use the crib that we bought for him. I ended up using it for my second, and he was a good sleeper. He wanted to sleep in the crib. He wanted to go to sleep, but like he was always sick all the time. So that like also and didn't help with the sleep when he was not feeling good, which is like definitely a huge contributor. I have to tell you, I did not sleep well last night at all. Like I still have a 9-year-old, almost 9-year-old climbing into bed with me, but he knows. So you're like, oh boy, oh girl, here we go.
See, maybe you do still need me.
I do probably need you, but he makes sure that he does not wake me up, because I am a bear. I literally didn't sleep a full night from like my 16-year-old to my 9-year-old, and it's only been in the last couple of years because I was just getting woken up all the time, and
Right.
it's like torture. It literally like torture.
Yes. Yes. And especially, yeah. And if you don't hear them come in, then there's not much you can do about it. You know, if they're coming into your bed and you actually want to change that, you've got to, you can put a bell on the door. That's one of my big suggestions for the,
Oh my
usually for
God,
that.
really?
If a parent can't, if you're genuinely wanting to change that, like if you want them not to come in, but if you can't hear them, then you would never know they're even in there. So if you put something that just chimes, and then when they open your door, then it would actually wake you up, and then you could escort them back, or tell them that they need to return to their bed. That's,
Oh,
if you're looking at it,
interesting.
just that way, it wakes you up. But that's just a little trick on that end.
Well, my husband would probably appreciate that because he's the one who gets woken up, not me.
Oh yeah.
And then once, and it's usually like 4 o'clock in the morning. So he'll end up just getting up and going to the gym because he's like, I can't go back to
Can't go
sleep.
back to sleep. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially at that
So
hour. It's
yeah,
tough to.
it is tough. And okay, so I'm so intrigued by the fact that you were a trained dancer,
Yes.
right?
Oh my goodness. Yes,
Oh, you're
absolutely.
good.
My vacuum just started.
Oh, why is that
It's
happening?
hilarious. Why did it decide now would be a good time? You say, hey, make sure everything's quiet, right? And now I've got a
No,
vacuum that's running past me. Okay, there we go. It's all done.
no,
Sorry
it's
about that,
chaos.
ladies.
No, it's
Yes,
chaos.
that is chaos, the robot. That's and now it's gonna decide to go and make another loud noise. So we're gonna ignore that.
We're gonna ignore it.
You
Yeah.
need like a shoe to throw it at it.
Oh boy. Yes, trained dancer. That's what you were asking me. Go ahead.
No. Well, the funny thing is, what if you're vacuuming off in the middle of the night and woke up your kids? Like,
Yes,
oh my
I'd be
God.
so angry. I
Suck.
swear these things have minds of their own. So we got it for Christmas, and it just does. Sometimes it just does what it wants to do. And
You're not the only one. Honestly,
oh boy.
I have a friend of mine said her vacuum does that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're trained in musical theater with a minor in political science
Yeah.
from Syracuse University in New York. I'm reading your bio, but I mean,
Yeah.
like okay, political science, like trained musical theater, and then you're like, I'm gonna become a sleep
I'm gonna do
consultant.
sleep consultant. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my whole life from when I was age 5 and up. Was and there it goes. It's gonna make that loud noise now. So just ignore that. Oh my goodness. Cheers.
Yeah, right. Cheers. Here. Let's just take a time to salute. It's like life, right?
Yes, that thing especially. You think it's gonna be helpful, and
It's
not
possessed.
always.
It's like possessed.
So anyway, yeah. So yeah, my whole life was dancing, singing, performing. So I trained in dance, my entire life, and was working professionally by age 16
Wow, that's
with
so
dance
cool.
and stuff. Yeah, and so then went to school for that, and Bachelor of Fine Arts in Musical Theater. But I always assumed I'd actually go on to law school, was where I thought my next step would be after my performing career. So
Wow.
that's why I did the minor in political science. So and
Okay.
then after college, after I graduated, I moved to New York City, and got my apartment, and then I toured all over the place in musicals and shows, and then
Wow.
then I met my husband, and I decided that it was time to take a little bit of a break from the performing world. It's pretty harsh, and it can be very exhausting as well. So
Totally.
I just decided, oh, I'm going to try Canada out, because I'm originally from Pennsylvania. I'm actually I'm American. So yeah, so
Your
I've been
voice. I
yeah,
was
you
gonna
can
say,
probably hear a
yeah,
little.
I can hear the accent. That's so funny. I'm gonna do
Yeah.
my best.
I'm from outside of Philadelphia, but yeah, so I moved to Canada for just thinking that it was going to be a break, right? I didn't know I was going to marry this guy, that kind of thing, and I ended up staying, and I kind of walked away from that part of my life and that career, and we got married, and then we've been married now 10 years, and we had our kids, and that just the performing world just wasn't here in Canada the way that I had been doing it back in the States. New York's a very different, a very different place, and the opportunities were very different. And I taught dance and stuff, on occasion, and at one of the studios. But that's why, like, after having moms, as you guys probably know, sometimes feel is you lose yourself a little bit, and you lose that past self. And
Mm.
I found that because I had walked away from that career, that I didn't really know where I stood. Did I want to go back to that world, or did I want to pursue a new world? And were people going to believe me, or were they going to accept the fact that I haven't been doing this my whole life? That I'm, it's that imposter syndrome, they say
Yeah.
quite a bit. And so I, and when I decided after we had hired a sleep consultant, when I decided to go through with this, it was a big change, and it still is, like, daily, because it's still a fairly new business for me. And not only am I learning about being a sleep consultant, all the things that come with sleep, but you're also at the same time building a business and starting a business from scratch. So
Yeah.
just making sure, so it's and especially because my past is so different from what I'm doing now. I do get that question quite a bit, and I love talking about my past, but I sometimes I know people are like, does she really know what she's doing? Like, and that makes it tough sometimes too.
No, I think it's interesting and intriguing, and I think it like adds to like your character and like how you can pull in from like, your dance and your theater and your being on stage and like understanding like, what it's like to like have to make sure your body is in tip-top shape and healthy,
Yes,
how health and wellness and sleep plays such an important part. So no, I was just intrigued and
I
interested
love
in
it.
knowing
No,
like how
thank
you
you for
pulled the two
asking.
pieces
Yeah.
together.
No,
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, it's so interesting to talk to like other moms about that whole just mindset of,
Yeah.
being accepted when you do decide, whether it's going back to work, deciding to start something new, even if it's just a hobby that you're picking up for yourself, doing something that makes you proud. It's tough for us as moms to find that spot again, when you're
Yeah.
when you're haven't been doing it for a while, and you've been a stay-at-home mom, and
Yeah.
just raising kids, at that time. So
I find that the
definitely.
kids too takes a minute for them to sort of acclimate too to the changes because like all of a sudden you're not like at their disposal like
Yeah.
like 100% of the time
That's a
like all
good
of a sudden
thing.
yeah you
Yes.
think so
It does. I agree. It teaches them, it teaches them a little bit about, and that was a big thing too, like that I wanted them to be proud of me, right? That I wanted them to say,
Mhm.
oh, it's not just dad that goes off and does this. It's mom actually. Oh, mom has a desk over there. What's mom doing? And now my
Yeah.
daughter, she asks about it now. What am I doing? And I've explained it to her, and now it's, well, when I get to be a grown up mommy, I want to help people sleep too. And
Oh,
I'm
that's
like,
cute.
oh, I
Yeah.
love that, that she's like kind of picking up on the fact that, mommy's got something else to do, and they respect the boundaries, which is nice. When I'm like, I have a call to make, I have things to do now. You have to go play by
Right.
yourself. Not
Yeah, you
mommy
gotta
can't
watch a
play.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a
Or
good
that.
thing.
Yeah.
So
I
let's
have a
talk.
question.
Oh,
Can I
go ahead.
just, so when you moved, and you moved to a different country and you didn't have family, and I don't know what your support system was like, but when you had to, get through a night's sleep and then wake up and function the next day, and did you have a support system that could come and help you, or was this a driving factor to get help
Yes.
and sleep? Okay.
Good question.
Absolutely. Yes, that's a great question. I did not have a support system at all, other than my husband. But he works 2 weeks in, 2 weeks out. At that time, he worked 1 week in, 1 week out. So I was by myself for a week at a time when he'd leave with this colicky child who
Oh
would
my
scream.
God.
And I just remember I'd bounce on a yoga ball and just like crying,
So
and then
you
I
were
try to.
driven to figure it out.
Yes, I had to. I had to, when it came to the 9 months, I couldn't lay there anymore. My body hurt, my body ached, my brain ached. I couldn't function normally, and I knew I wasn't being the best parent I could be because I wasn't getting any sleep. And so I knew she needed a change. There needed something had to happen. So that was the driving force, cuz I knew that I knew that asking for support was important, but that was hard for me because I was doing it all on my own, and I wasn't asking friends or family because there really wasn't any to come and help. So I had to figure it out on my own. What was I going to do? And that's why I often talk to the moms when I talk to them at first, is I talk to them about, don't feel guilty about asking for support. It's okay. We need to reach out to the people we need to reach out to
Yes.
so that we can be the best moms that we can be, but absolutely. Yeah, I didn't have much here at all. It was definitely a driving force. I needed help at that point, breaking point for
I
sure.
feel you
Yeah,
on
I
that one.
understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. I
Hmm.
feel you on that one because like I was 2 hours away from my family. I'm like, how did we start a family 2 hours away from everybody? And then you just figure it out. But like the no sleep, and then you add in another kid into the mix. You've got one
Yes.
kid, and then you have bring in another kid, and then like you've got two people maybe not sleeping well, and then you're not sleeping well, and then you're up all night and you're up all day, and it's like insanity. So how do you, okay, so let's talk about this, because you talk about the sleep sense method, and you're trained and certified in a very particular method. And
Yes.
I want to talk about that a little bit, because I think that's interesting, and how like healthy sleep habits make for happy, healthy kids, and like how those two things coincide. So that was kind of like a double question. Sorry about that. So
No, that's
yeah.
okay. So
So
yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
what is it about this like particular method that you love so much? And like, what is it? Like, what
Yes.
is, yeah.
Yeah, the sleep sense method was created by Dana Obelman. So she's the like head guru of it. She created it. I'm going to say it's been about 15 to 20 years now that Dana's been doing this, and now she sleep trains, like big, celebrity babies and things like that. She's a pretty big deal. And she created this program, and based off of, her experiences and things with her children. But what I loved the most about it is the approach to it. Of course, I can't give away the secrets to it, but it's a gentle approach. So
Okay.
it's all based on minimizing the amount of tears and things like that, and protesting that you're going to get, because all children are going to protest. It's going to happen. That's there's no such thing as no tears at all. Unfortunately, if we could do it, we would, but this is a gentle approach where you're supporting your child, you're comforting the child, you're letting them know you're not abandoning them in any way. There is no cry it out involved. That is not at all
I
part of this
love that.
program. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely, because there's no reason for it. There's absolutely no reason to let your child cry it out if that is not an absolute necessity, and your child is just not reacting to anything else. That is the final thing. And I would say that's like 1 or 2% of the time that we ever have to even consider that as an approach. But yes, this is a much more gentle approach, where and that's the biggest thing I think that parents like about it, is the fact that they're going to be there to support the child. The child is never going to feel abandoned. So that was a big draw for me. And also that the tactics, they work. That's another big one too. The
Yeah.
success rate is huge. So also was a huge draw for me. So and everything that Dana's done is so well respected. Like if you Google Sleep Sense or you Google Dana Obelman, that's all going to come up, and it's all going to be positive things. The amount of people that she helped before she ever even started training other sleep consultants. So and the training program itself, just the amount of mentorship that we got in that first year. We have coaches, we have people we can go to with any questions we ever have. We're taking webinars constantly, listening to doctors, doing scientific research. It's amazing all that comes along with it. It's not just kind of like check the boxes, you took this thing online and here's your certificate.
Right.
Not
right,
at all like that. It's a lot of work, and it's constant work. Like I'm constantly reading up on new things, constantly studying. And I have a whole stack of books next to my desk over here that are all baby books, things related to babies and development and sleep and all of that. So I think that answered your first question. I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. No.
There was a big push when we first had kids, was
Yeah.
to let him sleep, cry it out. And it was like, it was heart wrenching.
It was the
And that was
worst.
all he knew. And we didn't have Zoom. And has Zoom really changed the way you've been able to help people?
Oh,
Because
I think so. Yes. Yeah. For me, I can work with people all over the world, literally. Like it doesn't matter if they're in the UK, if they're in America, if they're in Canada, it doesn't matter. And we have the ability. What's so wonderful about that is like this, the one-on-one, being able to actually see the moms and the dads and look them in the eye and explain to them everything that's going to happen, and then be able to listen to their concerns. And I think just technology in general, my clients, when I work with them for 2 to 3 weeks at a time. And they can message me during my hours. They message me as much as they want, and through a messaging app. So that ability to be there to support them and to offer, whether it's that they're upset or something doesn't feel right, or if they're really excited about something that went really well, you
Yeah.
can be a part of all of that. And that's, I think with technology and with Zoom, all of that is just made that so easy for me to work with people everywhere, which
Yeah.
is really quite incredible.
What, you get like
Amazing.
a real person? Like you
Yeah,
can talk
yes,
to a
yeah.
real person like online? Like
There's a
what?
real human.
It's a
Yeah,
real
and
human? I mean, because that's like, I mean, I feel like things are changed. They need to change back to that because it's like the whole
yes,
automated stuff, like forget it. Like that doesn't help. And when you're in distress because your kid's not sleeping and then you're not sleeping, like you
right.
almost like go into this weird like manic state. Like you can't think straight. Like you
Yeah.
shouldn't be driving. Like you shouldn't be
Yeah.
No,
operating,
it's true.
right? You should
It's
be cooking. Like there's no way I should have been cooking or
the
doing
list of
anything.
things for sleep deprivation
Yeah,
that
let's talk
like
about
can
that.
cause, oh my goodness, for adults alone, just for parents, it causes obviously depression,
Oh
can
yeah.
cause car accidents because you're not focusing on, like, you just can't, you're in a fog all the time, causes relationship issues, relationships with your spouse, relationships at work, all of that, relationships with friends and family.
Yeah.
I think I already said it causes depression, which is it causes anxiety as well. It's overall just your health just phew, deteriorates. There's nothing good about it. There was something that came out last week, and it was about heart disease, and that people that don't get the correct amount of sleep at night over longevity are way more at risk for things like heart disease and other, terrible things that be just because they didn't get adequate sleep. And I talk about that a lot to parents that do call me, and I say, listen, this isn't just about getting your child to sleep. This is about you and your health too, and your child's health. These are
Yeah.
skills they're going to take into adulthood. And if they don't sleep well now,
Yeah.
most likely they're going to have some issues with sleeping when they're older too. So getting it fixed
Absolutely.
now is so important.
Oh my God, I remember when my oldest, like he wouldn't sleep. And by the time I got like my hands on a book, because there was none of this. There was no sleep
Yes.
consultants back in like 16 years ago.
Yeah.
And I got my hand on a book that someone told me about because I was just at my wit's end. I was like literally like, oh my God, I'm gonna run away. Like I can't do this anymore just from not being able to sleep. So I got a book and it was not a cry it out. It was they did not want you to do the cry it out situation. So it was kind of a different theory, which was fresh and new to me because I was like, I am not letting this kid cry it out.
Right.
Like, this is torture for me. And so, but I'm like, I can't just have him on my body the whole night. Like
Right.
this isn't healthy for either one of us. So by the time I got him sleeping, like at least like 4 hours, which was a full night's of sleep. And then he actually took a morning nap. Like he gave up the morning nap as soon as I got him taking a morning nap. And then and then I got him, he was taking a good afternoon nap, but that didn't last very long because he was older at that point.
Older.
So, I mean, and I didn't realize that like it all compounds, right? Like it all like the overnight into the morning, into the afternoon, and like,
Yes.
and then it's like it builds, right? So let's talk about that. Like when you're missing sleep, like
Yes.
there's issues like there.
Absolutely. It affects the whole 24-hour cycle. Like
Yeah.
it affects your body clock, your circadian rhythm gets
Yep.
completely thrown off. And a lot of times parents will get told, "Oh, well, your child's not sleeping at night, so skip the nap. That'll fix it." And that is not true at all. And there's actually, unfortunately, some doctors that will say that too, just I think sometimes in a
Yeah.
rush to just tell parents, oh, try this, because doctors don't have a whole lot of time to sit there and explain sleep to everybody, which is where we come in. But it's definitely, if the daytime sleep isn't honored, then it does totally affect that nighttime sleep. Then you've got night wakings, which then affects the next day. Just like you said, they have sleep debt, which then you have to work to get rid of in order to get them back on. So having those naps during the day is so important, honoring, especially before, like up until age 3, is usually when those naps still exist. It's super important because it throws the whole day off, everything. And if it's a later nap, then it can affect like bedtime, because then a lot of times parents say, oh, well, I put my kid down at 4. And I'm like, oh boy, because now that means kid isn't going to bed until 9,
10.
9:30,
Yeah.
10, and that's way too late for any child of any age, even our teens, tweens. We don't want them going to bed that late because we need them to get the right amount of hours at night so that their day I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of, is productive.
Productive.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. Thank you. Productive. That's what I was looking for. So yeah, it definitely affects the whole.
By the time my third came around, I was like, he has to be in bed at this time. And I was like adamant about it. And
Yeah.
people, you know, and I'd get friends when we were hanging out camping. Cause this is when we lived in Michigan and we were camping, like, you know, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to take a break from our socializing and I have to put him to bed. Like he has to go to bed because like, you know, I'm not gonna, it was just a mess. It would have been a
Yep.
mess. Like it just would have been, you know, just he would have been it would have been bad.
And
So
routines are so important.
yeah.
Sticking to the routine and having a routine at home is one of the biggest thing. Like even if you pop onto my Instagram ever, a lot of the tips that I talk about, you'll see routine. It happens to be in a ton of things, even if they're about a completely different topic.
Yeah.
Routine always comes back up because it is so crucial for parents, even if they don't necessarily want to sleep train their child, or if they're just wanting to just make some improvements, some things maybe are going well. I always recommend make sure you have a good bedtime routine going, a good nap time routine going, and that you're consistent every night. So it's not, oh, baby goes to bed at 7 o'clock or child goes to bed at 7 o'clock and then goes to bed at 9 o'clock the next night and then 8 o'clock the next night. You want to have a consistent night bedtime every single night. And same thing with the nap too. It's so important, or else the whole thing, their body clock can never adjust. It can never figure it out. Just like, adults too are the same way. If we
Yeah.
get up at different times every morning, you probably notice that you feel differently. And especially if you went to bed, let's say you decided, oh, let's watch a TV show for an extra hour, you feel that the next day. If you had to get up at the same time the next morning, you're
Yeah.
going to feel that less hour of sleep that you didn't have the night before.
Absolutely. And I was gonna say, like, I remember one of my girlfriends, she actually hired a sleep consultant, and I was like, "What's that?" And she was like, we were at our wits' end, and she has younger kids too. They're both under the age of 5. And I was like, "Oh my God, I wish I had a sleep consultant or, someone to help me, coach me because I didn't know anything." And I'm obviously like I have still have an almost 9-year-old getting up in the middle of the night and coming into my bed.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. So go ahead, Carrie. Were you gonna say something?
I remember doing crazy things like, well, with my oldest, I would put 2 diapers on him because he was such a light sleeper and I didn't want to change his diaper. Every time I changed his diaper, he would wake up.
Wake
So
up.
I was just, and I think that's crazy. And why we could have done it this way. And then when my oldest was 2, I had twins and I decided, well, we're going to just let them sleep in their swings because I can't
You
handle
can't
them.
handle it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we would just stock up on batteries and they would just swing themselves to sleep. And the other thing I was thinking was your support probably lends itself to healthy marriages too, because you're bringing the whole family together. And that's just
Absolutely.
like an immense amount of support that it's like amazing.
Necessary. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
necessary for a healthy family and marriage, and you know having your partner understand and care and want to be on the same path with you to help your child and yourself and
Absolutely.
your family and your marriage.
It's one of the biggest things that I talk about when I do two things that I do. When I start out with like a first, if somebody's just interested in hiring me, it's just a 15-minute free call. And I always recommend that if the dad or the spouse can come on, that's great. And if they can't, that's fine. I'll talk to the mom. But so often what I hear at the end of that is, I need to talk to my spouse first. And I know usually that this mom is at her breaking point, and I try, I have ways of saying to her, just make sure you don't wait till you're at your breaking point, things like that. But so often it's still, by the time they even hire me, the spouse may not be on board by that point. And so I always recommend that when we sit down for our hour and a half consultation, when we go over everything, that the spouse is a part of that. And then from there, I go into a whole segment about how important it is for them to support each other, how they need to tag team with each other during this process, that they need to give each other breaks. So it never pits one against the other. It's, you guys are going to do this as a team because this is for the family. This
Yeah.
is going to help everyone. And if we're all consistent together, then let's call baby Susie, then Susie isn't going to be confused or anything. Susie's going to understand that her parents are supporting her. And that causes intrinsic knowledge. That's when they start to learn, oh, this is a good thing. Sleep is a good thing.